Hey y'all, this is Sarah, and I have got a fun 2-sheet project for you today. By that I mean it's going to take 2 sheets of full 20-inch by 30-inch foam core for this project, and a couple of other things that I'm going to be using. So I've got 3 of the Dollar Tree mirrors. I've got one of the 3 packs of plastic hooks, and I've already spray painted these with kind of a misty coat of black, but I'm going to go over them again with chalk paint before we get started so they have time to dry. I used flat spray paint, and because those were silver, they still came out shiny, so I'm going to use some black chalk paint in order to give it more of a cast iron kind of look. On our foam core, I'm going to show you what cuts you're going to need. So to start off with, you're going to need 2 cuts. I'm going to move these out of my way before there's an incident. Y'all, I have decided that I am not a polished YouTuber, but I am a crafter. And for those of you that just want to join in and craft with me, I think I'm good with that. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to try to show you. These are 10.5 by the full 30-inch length, and there's 2 at this size. There's going to be, let's see if I can make this where you guys can kind of jot that down. I'll try to get the written cuts put down with this. So there's 3 cuts at our normal 3-inch by 30-inch. And then we've got 4 cuts at 1.5-inch by 30 inches. But I want to show you that 2 of those are going to stay this full length. And then 2 of those you're going to cut down at 4.5 inches so that you get 8 of these little guys that are 1.5 by 4.5. So I hope that was clear enough. You're actually going to cut these 4, but you're going to cut 2 of these 4 down to this. So I went ahead and cheated because you guys know that I'm really slow at what I do. And I painted out my pieces. But I want to show you how I painted those out. So the 2 long 1.5-inch by 30 inches. Only one of those needs to be painted because they will be adhered together to make one solid piece. 2 of your 3-inch ones will go the same way. And then the front of one of these will be painted. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, you guys know that I like to do my sides also. I'm going to move this out of the way and pull in some of my painted pieces. I want to show you what I went ahead and did because I knew I wasn't going to have time to put this completely together and paint it. So I've got my pieces painted. Now, these are my 2 10.5 by 30-inch pieces. And I want to show you that I always tend to come in a little bit on these pieces and try to cover that white on the bottom side, on the flip side. Even on my couple of pieces that I didn't have to paint, I still made sure I got the edges. Because when I go to glue those together to make one piece, I do not want any white showing. And I'll show you what I mean here. Sometimes when you go to stack those and they don't stack perfectly, that white on that surface right there ends up showing through. So if I didn't have these aligned right and I didn't have that painted out, that would definitely be really stark white on me. So I did that with a couple pieces. I've got the fronts of my two of my 3-inch ones painted already. And if you're curious about this color, this is the Salvage Barnwood color. This is the dark version. So I've got these two guys painted, and the other one didn't need to be painted. I just wanted to make sure that I got those edges for when they are stacked. So then when they're like this, if they didn't line up perfectly, I'm not going to see any of that. But I didn't have to paint the whole thing. And kind of the same thing with these. I told you guys that I always finish off the back of my pieces. So I've got one side of each of these 10.5 by 30 inches done, because these are going to go together like everything else is doing. And then I'll go in and hit my edges with my little sponge. So let's go ahead and start kind of putting this together. I needed to be able to let these dry. That way I didn't make a complete hot mess of this. But I am going to do one thing. I did not hit these edges super well, so I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm just going to take my grungy black sponge. And I'm just kind of making sure that those sides aren't going to peek out white when I go to glue this together. So this is going to be our backer piece. I went ahead and painted mine out. If you're using a black one on the back, like I said before, black is getting harder and harder to find, so I'm kind of hoarding it. This is why I was trying to get everything dry, because I leave fingerprints everywhere. Okay, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun, and I'm just using Dollar Tree glue sticks. And I'm going to go in with these two 10.5 by 30. And they're going to go together like this. So when I flip them over, both sides are done. But the insides are not actually done. So I have to try to work really quickly on this. This is a really big piece to try to get covered in glue and get smushed and sandwiched together. So if I get real quiet and serious, I'm focusing. I do like to try to hit as close to those edges as I can so that when I sandwich them, they sandwich really nicely. And let's see if I can get this thing together really, really quick. I'm going to try to line these up as quick as I can. Get a little pressure in there. Make sure everything is adhering. Hopefully I don't dent this, because I'm putting all 125 pounds into that. I don't see any dents. I think we're good. So both of mine look pretty close to the same. I'm just going to use this as my front. And I'm going to come in with the two painted 3-inch ones and the one that I only did the edges on. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere these two guys together. You see, I've already done all the sides. Like I said, this was one of those larger size crafts that I needed it to be able to get dry quickly. So I had to cheat. And I'm just going to load this thing up. Try to get those in alignment really quickly on that glue. So I have a nice chunky kind of piece there. Now, this piece is going to go at the top here. And guys, when I get to one part of this, I'm going to do my best not to absolutely blind you. because mirrors are involved and they are going to shine straight towards my lights. So I'm flipping this over to the back, and I'm going to go ahead and get this one glued in place. Get around those edges. Let's load her up. I'm super excited about this one. Okay, I'm just holding my fingers right here at the top to get that alignment really nice. Making sure my seal is good. You can see that that looks like, well, it kind of looks like the layer that plywood and stuff come in. And I'll go in at the very end and retouch up those edges so that they're all even. So this is where we are so far. That's a 2-stack on top of, that's 2 3s glued together on top of the 2 10.5 by 30s. So the next one is going to go down here. And it's only going to be the single one at the bottom because I wanted this little bit of lip to come up. Before I get that glued down, I'm going to go ahead and come in with these two. This is 1.5 inch by 30. And you can see just kind of the edges have been done on this one. Let's see if I can get this really nice and flush. You want to try to line these up as flush as you can get them, and try to get your cuts as flush as you can get them on these ones that are stacking. So you want them to blend in pretty well together. So I'm going to pull this back down, and this guy is going to go ahead and find its home. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint those, the black hooks really quick so they kind of have a little bit of time to dry while we get our other pieces placed. So doing the same thing, I'm holding it flush here. So now there's like a rim there. You can kind of see those stack up. Look at that. Look how nice that looks. And how much like wood that actually looks. So here's what it's looking like from the top. We're pretty thick and chunky here, guys. And when I come in and clean this up a little bit with my sponges and even out those color tones, it'll look really nice. So I'm going to slide this over. I'm going to grab my hooks and grab my black paint. Guys, this is part of the reason why I like having my paint in these little portable cup, disposable cups. They went flying across the floor. I only see one of them. I'm using my ink chalk paint by Waverly on this. Because even with a flat spray paint, although it gave me a good base coat to adhere this chalk paint to, but even with a flat spray paint, it left this shiny because it was silver underneath. And this is going to give it kind of that cast iron texture. You can kind of see it's already turning into a flat paint. That's a little hard to do without making a mess of it, but well, honestly, they went flying. I don't know what happened to them. Okay, well, let's put this one to the side and hopefully I'll see where they went. There they went. Okay. Well, you're kind of crafting with me real time here. So I said, I'm a crafter, not a YouTuber. I'm just kind of dragging you guys along with my craft time. Okay. If any of you are wondering why I let paint get on this desktop, I'm going to tell you. This was one of the rolly floor kind of pads. I don't know, the office things. I don't know what you call that. I guess it's just a roller pad. The wooden kind that you put under your office chair. And I've had it for years. And I no longer needed it under my desk. So I cut it down. I cut just a few slats off and it fits on my big desk perfectly. And I guess because it was made for wheels to go across, my paint doesn't really stick. I can clean this off. I can clean it off tomorrow and it'll come off. I don't know how that works, but it works out well for me. Okay, so those are going to be drying. Let me handle this. And I'm going to show you the mirrors and their placement. And you guys know I'm not going to give you a whole lot of math. But I do have to try to line this up where I don't blind any of you. So the center should be about 15. And this is about the most math I'm going to do on here. So let's see if I can place this mirror without a glare back. If I can get it in a good spot. So here's my middle point. I'm going to try to... Ooh, guys, I'm sorry. I am kind of stuck. There is not a whole lot of places I can put that. How about I put it upside down for right now? That's what we're going to do. So I've already taken the little rubber feet that were on there. I took those off already. So I've got that about center. Like I said, that was about all the math I was going to do to you. And these are going to be adjusted after I bring out the other little pieces. I was trying to see if I could get them lined up where I wouldn't blind you guys, but that looks like it's going to be difficult. So all of our little 1.5 by 4.5 inch strips. You do have to paint those, but you're only painting one side. Be sure you're getting your edges and ends. We're going to come in here, make sure that slides into place beautifully. If you can see that. I'm going to slide this down. You can see how nicely that slides into place. And they should space out to about 1 inch in between each one. So I said I wasn't gonna do you guys too bad on the math. You can pretty much eyeball it. You can kind of see where we're going with this. Look how cool that looks already. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Let me find my Zen. Okay. So I'm going to try to flip some of these over because in order to put all my pieces where they belong, maybe I won't blind you guys. I have to be able to glue down my glass. I feel like that's pretty balanced. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in place now that my 2 little strips has marked it for me. I am not using any chemical laden glue. I'm just going to use a ton of hot glue. Y'all, I don't ever try to scratch these stickers off the back. I know you can, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to end up scratching the actual mirror off the back. So I usually try to work around that. So maybe that's still not blinding you yet. And I'm going to go ahead and put its little pieces around it. So pop the glue there. Pop that little guy in place. I'm going to do that with each one of them. And I'm going to tell you, my test run with this in just white was gorgeous. It really was, no kidding. I almost considered leaving it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and do these while the mirror is in place. And I'm just going to try very hard to work around any visual injuries to anyone. I started with the least complicated one that I could. I actually want to do another one of these, but I wanted to do this because right now everybody's going back to needing masks everywhere. This is not going to be able to hold anything super heavy, but it would definitely be a cute way to hold your mask once they're clean and sanitized and hook them by the door. Okay, I'm going to see if I can flip this one without blinding anyone. And I apologize if it does. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to just load this thing up with glue. The reason I don't want to use E6000 or any of those really heavy scented caustic glues is because they can eventually soak in through your paper and have a chemical reaction with your foam and make it damage. So am I still not blinding you? Okay. I just have one of the little Dollar Tree polishing microfiber cloths. I'm going to get my little fingerprints off here before I get it all put together. I cannot mess with mirrors without ending up touching all... Me and fingerprints. That is a thing for me. Fingerprints everywhere. So I think the only one I can't flip over right at the moment is the one there in the center without hurting y'all's eyes. Let's see if I slide this over. I'm going to try to slide it as far as I can. Okay, that's the best I can. I had not thought this part through on actually being able to show everyone without blinding everyone. So now I'm going to come in with this last 3-inch piece. And we're going to lay it in place and get it nice and secure. And I definitely want this one secure. Because my hooks are going to go right on this one. Now remember, this is going to be lightweight at best. Certainly some lightweight things can go on this depending on how you hang it. If you're going with command hooks or command strips, you should be fine to hold lightweight things. Certainly for looks, it's going to be cute. Fingerprints. But there we go. That'll help with the glare. So I'm going to come back in now with my little cast iron now looking hooks. So these are pretty sticky, but I'm still going to add hot glue to them. I just have to peel that backing off. So they're already sticky, but this wax, once it's dry, you guys know it kind of has its own feel to it. So I'm still going to add a whole lot of hot glue to this. Not going to go too far to the edges. I don't want it to seep out because it is really hard to get back off of this foam core. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this right underneath that mirror. I'm just going to hold it in place there. Same thing with this one. I'm going to peel off the backing. And these Dollar Tree ones, they don't have that little pull tab thing that the Command brand does. But in this instance, it's better that it doesn't have it and we don't have to try to remove that sticky part. So I'm just going to eyeball it right into place. I'm smushing it down pretty good. And then the last one, just same thing with it. Pull the back off. Load it up with hot glue. Pull all your glue strings away. And here we go. I'll let you try to see how that looks. There we go. I'm trying, guys, to not hurt everyone's eyes.